This week's episode is brought to you by Tyler G., who suggested the featured movie on our Facebook page. Thank you for the suggestion, Tyler. If you have a movie you'd like us to cover on the show, and we're going to tell you all the ways you can do that at the end of the episode. And now, on with the show. Mike, please play the music. Welcome to episode 47 of The Graveyard Shift, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we think is fun or relevant. And yes, I said we. Please say hello to the guy that has been nearly drooling since he found out what movie we're watching this week, my co-host Mike.
Squee!
Mike, how are you?
I'm fucking elated.
You're a little excited about our movie, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned this a long time, and we finally got to it on the list because one of our listeners has suggested it. So, Mike, why make them wait any longer? Why don't you tell everyone what this episode is all about?
Today's episode is Fangs for the Memories, because we watched the horrors of Dracula.
Oh, we sure did, and just how good is this movie?
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. You summed it up nicely. This may be the definitive Dracula for me. This is so well done. We're going to get into the details in a bit, but first, here's a little info on the horror of Dracula. Released in 1958, The Horror of Dracula is a British horror film directed by Terence Fisher, loosely based on the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is the first movie in a series by London-based production studio Hammer Horror, with Christopher Lee playing Dracula and Peter Cushing playing Dr. Van Helsing. In Europe, it's simply known as Dracula, but was renamed in North America to avoid confusion with Universal Studios' wildly popular Dracula starring Bela Lugosi.
Because it would be easy for moviegoers to convince a color movie with different actors with a black and white 20-year-old film that's no longer in theaters.
Yep.
Because that's what Europe thought of Americans. They're that easily confused.
Pretty much. It had a budget of approximately it did not. It had a budget of approximately $115,000 US and had a box office return of about $1.4 million. So, not bad. It's kind of weird when you think about it, because we're going to talk about the details, like I said, but when you look at the production value of Dracula, just how good everything looks, and then you look at a movie that came out 10 years later that actually had a bigger budget, which was Night of the Living Dead. And there's no comparison. Like, it's unbelievable when you think about how much money was actually spent on both of these movies.
That's ridiculous. Night of the Living Dead looks like it was shot with a camcorder in some guy's backyard.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, no, it was a great movie.
It's one of my all-time favorites. I'm just talking about the actual look. It's amazing what they did with the money that they had available to them.
Yeah, you'd think they had like you'd think they had like a $5 million budget based on the scenery, the quality of actors, the everything.
Exactly. And well, so you've already figured out that both me and Mike really like this movie, but what did other people think? Well, it has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 91% from critics, and it has a 80% audience score. So all in all, pretty damn good.
That's like one of the highest movies we've reviewed.
Yeah, it might be the highest, actually. I'm not sure. I don't have the stats next to me, but it very well could be the highest rated movie we've had on the show so far. Now, this is where I usually give you a little breakdown of the plot. I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence by explaining the plot of Dracula to them. Like, if you don't know what the plot of Dracula is by now, then what are you even doing here listening to this?
True.
I mean, come on. So yeah, like we got a lot to talk about with this one. I think the good column is going to grossly outweigh the bad column for this, but that's where we are right now. We're going to talk about the good and the bad, and this is where we get to be as broad or specific as we want. We can nitpick about certain things like a certain scene, a look of a character, a certain line. Doesn't matter. It could be an overall theme. Anything goes. We're going to start with the good, and we're going to start with the mic.
Just a sec. There was a little bit of trivia. Just like for all the excellent quality of craftsmanship, there was one gaffe which I noticed, and I wouldn't be a nitpicking little asshole if I didn't bring it up. The movie takes place in 1885, but there's a scene where Van Helsing is wrapping up the little girl in a coat, and he says she looks like a teddy bear. But teddy bears didn't get their name until Teddy Roosevelt's hunting trip in 1902. So, one anachronism in an otherwise brilliant film.
There you go. Well, I don't like this movie anymore, Mike. You just ruined the whole thing for me. Thanks a lot, man.
That's what I do.
I just can't enjoy it. This podcast is over. I'm walking away. Install a slamming door background sound here.
So, we begin with the good, a.k.a. the Blowjob Festival, which...
Mike, strap on your knee pads, buddy.
I'm just thinking the Blowjob Festival, that would be like a great fair to go to. Or like penis pops and like room temperature vanilla milkshakes with a dash of salt.
Yeah, but it's not as good. It's not as good as it used to be. It's gone way too commercial now.
It's true. Okay, so no surprise here. The fucking credits. God damn. I mean, you talk about an entrance. We have a tome with Dracula's initial, the D, leading to a blood red font, chilling bombastic music with a gothic font, with a stone raptor with its wings spread across and then we pan across a castle wall leading to the vampire's coffin as blood drips on the plaque with his name. Yep. Fuck yes.
Blood's just coming out of nowhere, just dripping on it, but who gives a fuck? It looks amazing.
This is how you introduce a movie. Like, you're already terrified and you haven't seen anybody.
Yeah. Just that scene alone, just the background, the setting itself, just sets the mood for the movie with the way that you're going to feel throughout the whole thing, and it just fucking nails it. Yeah, what a way to open a movie. So now that, the credits kind of led into it, let's talk about the set. This movie had some of the greatest production value I've ever seen. The sets were amazing. Like, just the gothic look to it. I don't know if I've seen like such a foreboding looking set, such a great atmosphere in a horror movie before. No matter what it was, whether it was the countryside, Dracula's castle, the small little village, everything looked fucking amazing. So it really goes back to what I said earlier when I talked about the budget of this movie. For a $115,000 budget, by 1958 standards, this was quite the feat. I don't know how many people like worked for free on this movie, but I think pretty much the only people that probably got paid were Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, because everything else had to go into the actual set production. So that knocks off the credits and the setting, the production value. What do you got next?
My next point is people don't hold back information for plot convenience. People actually speak up.
Yep, you got it. Give some examples.
Fuck, I can't think of any right now. But why'd you put me on the spot like this?
That's what I do.
So, nice callback. Well, when as soon as Harker Helsing hears about Nina's sickness, he immediately tells them, like, okay, here's what you need to do to save her life. Now, he doesn't waste time with stuff that he knows they're not going to believe, but he, like, gets up right at the point and says, like, you need to do this or she's going to die. And then when she dies, he tells Harker or Homewood, like, you need to do this, we need to do this. Like, nobody's holding back, like, oh, like, he's not ready for this, or... I don't know. I don't know when I typed that out, but I had a lot more in mind than when I'm speaking now. Fuck you.
No, but I get what you like. You get like the explanation about the vampires like right off the bat. There's no fucking around there, like leaving anybody wondering. Everyone's told like point blank what's happening.
Oh yes, when Nina dies, that's when he immediately tells Homewood, "Oh, by the way, you need to know. Here's Harker's diary. Here's Harker's diary. You need to find out about this right away because this is what happened to your sister."
Yeah, pretty much. So, what I want to go to next is the acting. This is the first time that we see Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee paired together in what's going to become one of the greatest horror duos ever. Like, they are renowned. Like, they are horror icons these days, but this was the start of it right there. And holy crap, like, the acting by both these guys is just immaculate.
They were the Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart of their day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And the same with just being absolute best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they moved in close to each other after, like, making these movies because they just loved hanging out with each other. They were best buds.
But the acting, like, Peter Cushing's Van Helsing, he's sophisticated, he's classy, and you really believe him. He's convincing. When he's talking about vampires and what needs to be done, you feel like this guy believes what he's saying.
Yeah, he's not just rattling what some asshole wrote on a piece of paper for him.
No, like he delivers his every line that he delivers is convincing. Does such a great job. You can tell when he's in battle with Dracula. Like you can see like he's a man on a mission. Like you can see in his face that he's got a job to do, but you can also see that he recognizes what he's up against.
And you can see the preparation in his face. He knows the task that lays before him, and he is ready for it.
Exactly. So that's Van Helsing. Now let's talk about Christopher Lee as Dracula.
Oh.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Talking about sophistication as well. When you first meet Dracula, you know, when he introduces himself, he is just suave and sophisticated. Just charm is just oozing off of him.
He exudes class.
Yes, which is what Dracula is supposed to be. And I mean, I'm not throwing any dirt on Bela Lugosi's Dracula. I love the movie. Like, I can pop that on anytime as well and watch it. Like, it is a classic that is deserving of the title. But right off the bat, as soon as Dracula's on screen, I'm like, I would be creeped out right away by this guy. Christopher Lee's Dracula, I would be charmed by him. I'm like, hey, man, this guy is fucking awesome. I want to hang out with him.
Dude, check out this guy's library. This is amazing.
Exactly. It's like with Bela Lugosi's Dracula, I'm like, right away, if I met him, I'm like, well, he wants to kill me.
Yeah, who's this creepy, swishy foreigner?
Yeah. And then that's showing him like when he's, I don't want to say his human form because but that's him showing like, you know, his
breeding.
Yeah, it's showing like the person that he used to be. It's showing the facade of like a human. But when he's in full vamp mode, holy shit, he is really a beast.
Oh, yeah.
The switch gets flipped. He's into total like animal mode. He's got like showing the fangs and he's snarling and hissing and he's leaping all over the place.
The bloodshot eyes. Oh, yeah, the vitality of him when he leaps from one part of the stage to the other, or when he takes like stairs 3 at a time.
Yes.
Just the size and immensity of the man. Like you get to see the demon behind the gentleman.
Exactly. And it's just like pure animalistic. And you can still see though, even though through like the snarling there's like a hint of a smile there, like that he's like unleashed and he fucking loves it. Like he really is enjoying this, like letting it go and letting his true self show. But yeah, just like, oh my god, like just these two, I could talk about just these two all day. And once again, when it comes to his lines, Dracula's lines are delivered just perfectly.
Gravitas.
Absolutely. These two, like, there's, I mean, these two reprised their roles several times, and you can see why Hammer wanted these two to keep coming back, because people just fell in love with both of them. And like I said, this is a reason why I find this, in my opinion, this movie is the definitive portrayal of Dracula. This is the way you do a Dracula movie.
Oh, and to my next point, the pacing never felt boring. Every
No.
single friggin' scene pushed the plot steadily along. Nothing ever felt like we're just idling, killing time to fill out a runtime. No, every scene gave us just kept that momentum going.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And yeah, it had an 82-minute runtime. I don't think I mentioned that in my little movie facts earlier. But 82 minutes, so fucking sweet. Don't put any unnecessary filler on the screen because that drives me crazy. There should never be a horror movie that tops, like, that goes any further than the 90-minute mark. If you do, you've got a lot of unnecessary shit in there. So
or you better be excellent.
Or yeah, you better keep me fucking on the edge of my seat for that entire time. But this, they're not fucking around. They're like, nope, we can tell our story in less than an hour and a half. So let's get moving. So yeah, it just the pace. You nailed it, man. The pace of this, it just never slows down. You're captivated right away, and it never lets you go.
Yeah, even during like the and I use air quotes here, slow parts, is just so that like the audience can kind of catch their breath. But then we get like some exposition just to get a little bit of background on Helsing. Well, we don't get too much background on the characters, but we expound on their characters a little bit, just enough to get to know them, and then boom, action. And then, all right, here's someone else that we need to bring in, and boom, action.
Yep. And they don't screw around, even revealing like Dracula's actual form too. Man, they do that pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I want to go back to talk about the acting too, because we just we talked quite a bit about Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, but the supporting cast as well. They all did pretty phenomenal jobs as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, even Dracula's bitch. That what the hell is her name? Just a sec. I have it here in a tab. Valerie Gaunt. She was only in two Hammer movies. That's it. Curse of Frankenstein and Dracula.
Oh wow, really?
And I wish we could have seen more of her, because this gal, great actress.
Yeah.
She shows up as a victim in Dracula's house, telling Harker that like, oh, he's cruel, he hurts me, he keeps me prisoner, and she's selling it until you realize that it's just an act. But
yeah, she does a decent job, and she is the first vampire that appears in a Hammer horror movie. Of a long line of vampire movies, she's the first one they actually show, and they did such a fantastic job. Very simple, but like just gets the point across. Hey, this is what a vampire is supposed to look like.
Oh yeah, the lusty cleavage. Like, this is just like a typical Bride of Dracula.
Yep. It's what you picture when you hear it. When you hear a Bride of Dracula,
a beautiful pale woman in white with a low cut robe, a woman that you definitely would let get close to your neck.
Definitely.
All right. And then when she digs in, you're like, this isn't the kind of sucking I had in mind.
Or is it? So, okay, what else you got on your good list?
The humor. It's not over the top, it's not wacky, it's not zany, very, very dry. but it is fantastic. From a gate getting rammed by Dracula, and as soon as the guy throws up the gate again, that's when Helsing in pursuit rams the gate again. Or we get the funeral home director telling Homewood and Helsing, "Oh, watch your steps. We had a man come in and fall down these steps after visiting his departed. He came to pay his respects and remain to share them." And then laughs at his own joke.
Of course. Yeah, it had that, like, very droll British humor in it, which, yeah, I love it. It's great. So
this movie really does have a lot of everything. It's got action, comedy, and the gore and the violence. I can only call it restraint and class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is some visceral stuff, especially with Dracula's destruction.
Oh, yeah.
And the violence when Dracula chokes out everybody.
Jesus.
Everybody he can get his hands on.
Dracula loved to go right straight for the stranglehold, man. Like, no fucking around. Like, just straight for, like, I'll just squeeze the life out of you. But yeah, and especially considering this movie came out in 1958, like, that was, very few movie scenes even portrayed any blood at this point. And this movie, man, did not hold back. It's like we saw stakes being driven through people's hearts, actual bite wounds, bleeding bite wounds. And
yeah, for the 50s, this was the epitome of violence and gore. And it was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm not sure what to talk about next for the good, because, like, it's just like
I think just particular movie scenes that we like. Now that we've hit, like, the main points.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about mine. Like, the first scene for me, like, it was pretty cool seeing, the first vampire, the lady vampire, but just for me was the reveal of Dracula. Not as a vampire, when he just shows up, and when Jonathan Harker says, Count Dracula, and he just walks in the stairs, you know what to expect, and very calmly, "I am Dracula, and I welcome you to my home." And he's just so smooth, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's cool.
Yeah. I mean, even if you knew he was a vampire, you'd be like, I think I can get him to like, I think he likes me. I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, right off the bat, just from him showing the human side of him, and just so well done. Like, that blew me away. And then, like, the reveal of his vampire side. Like, right off the bat, he just nails it both. Like, it's not like as a vampire he's like the same as he is like as a human, but just like all of a sudden he has fangs and tries to bite you. No, he's just literally, like, quite literally beast mode.
Yeah. The Prince of Darkness is out.
So the reveals of both, like, just the first scene Dracula is in, and then the first showing him in his vampire form, just both amazing scenes.
My first movie point I've got here is the Harker narration. Because Harker is narrating this, you immediately think this is his story. And that, like, he's going to team up with Van Helsing, or that he's going to be the sole survivor. Nope! Psych! I mean, what a fake out! I mean, what people are expecting when someone's telling you the story of their life, you expect them to be able to live to the end of the movie because they're telling it. But no, it's just his diary entry, which cuts out about 20 minutes in.
Yep, exactly.
So that is just such a great fake out and a subversion of what moviegoers expected. I mean, right off the bat, you know you're in for something unique.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you think you know the story of Dracula, but man, it flips it right on its head.
Because Harker was supposed to be in the novel, did you ever read the novel?
Oh, of course. Come on.
Did Harker live throughout the novel?
Oh, yeah. He survives to the end. And I'm going to talk about that later on. But, yeah, they... you think you've got you know the story of Dracula, whether you read the book or you saw the Bela Lugosi version. You think you got the story mapped out, but they said, nope, fuck that.
It's like, fuck, you don't know. You know nothing, Sheldon Brown.
Exactly.
Okay. And, Dracula's Castle.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
lush. Can we talk about Dracula's Castle? Son of a bitch.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, this thing is like, it doesn't look. It looks like a run of the mill castle from the outside, but when you get inside, son of a bitch, everything is marble or gold. This is kind of like the vampire equivalent of Trump Tower. Like, yeah. As soon as you come inside, it's just like, look at how fucking great I am.
Nope, you said it. Yeah, it is amazing. Like, you see the outside scenes first, and it's like, wow. Like, I don't know if this is a backdrop or an actual location or anything because it looks so well done. And then the interiors, you're thinking like that's what I was talking about earlier. The production value of just the sets alone, for what they did with that budget, it's I can't even believe it. I'm like, what the hell? Did people like just donate sets to them, like out of the goodness of their hearts or something? Because there's no way they did all this for $115,000.
Yeah, did they just happen to like visit someone else's castle while they were out? I mean, these things do not look dirty. They look maintained and fresh, like pristine. And even in Dracula's main, the main room where all the good shit happens, there's a zodiac wheel on the floor. It's got Greek writing on the inner circle, and on the outer circle is Latin. And the quote in Greek in the inner circle is from the Odyssey, and it says, "The mind of men who live on the earth is such as the day the Father of gods and men Zeus brings upon them." And the outer wheel is in Latin from Helsoid via Bartolomeo Angelico, which says, "And the earth's first bare starry heaven, equal to herself, to cover her on every side, and to be an ever sure abiding place for the blessed gods." So I don't know if that was like made for the movie or if that just happened to be there, but just in case you wondered, what's all that scribbling on the floor? That's what it means.
Wow.
But what other scenes got you?
Oh my god, I want to keep one till the end, and you probably will end up bringing it up anyway. But the first time we see a vampire getting killed, the staking of the vampires looked like fucking amazing again. And like, they did not cut away. You saw those stakes get hammered into the chest of the vampire. You saw the blood pooling up, and like the vampire's reaction to it.
Oh, like that. And the sound effects. Like, it sounds like you're just like stabbing wood through bone and meat.
Yep, exactly. It sounded like it should. It looked like it should. And like, going back again to 1958, I mean, nothing like this was seen. This was cutting edge stuff. They took a really big chance with upping the gore this way.
Yeah, people were supposed to be like fainting in the theaters when Frankenstein came out, and he barely did anything.
Mm-hmm. And once again, not shitting on Night of the Living Dead, but think about the look of Night of the Living Dead, and like, that was 10 years later, and people freaked out over that movie. Like, they literally came with warnings that people with heart conditions probably should not watch this movie. So people with weak constitutions should avoid it. And then you had something like, 10 years earlier, something like the horror Dracula, which like blew that movie away when it came to like the actual visuals.
Oh yeah, like, and still so much with Dracula. Like, as soon as he shows up, what you didn't mention was the musical sting that accompanies him. This man's walking soundtrack is as imposing as he is.
Yeah. Well, that was something that I had on the list too, on the good list, was just the music. Because that was a big part of driving this movie, was the music, and once again, done perfectly. The music score for this matches the mood of the movie itself, and it just makes you feel like it just goes along with the atmosphere, that foreboding atmosphere.
And just like to see the height of Dracula when he's when he's casually walking up the stairs like two at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this gives you a sense of like It's not just like he's tall as opposed to Harker, who may be short.
Yeah.
No, Harker is like pretty tall, and this guy's even taller. Like this guy's immense.
Yeah, like he's like a larger than life character for sure. Like he looks hulking in this movie.
And it just really comes into effect when, like again, the revelation of Dracula as the monster. When Dracula's wife gets close to Harker, tells him, "Oh, like he beats me and everything. Like, please help me." And he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll help you." Then he gives her a hug, and she just eyes him up like dinner. She just bites in, and as soon as he pushes her away, then we see Dracula's face, bloodshot eyes, blood dripping from his teeth, a mouthful of crimson. He has just, like, it's clear what this man's been out doing, and he is not happy to be home.
No,
He is, oh, that look on his face when he chokes out Harker and his bitch in the same scene, and just when he's like, when he's over Harker and his eyes are just open, his hair's all messed up, and he's just like barely breathing, like he's fighting with himself as well as Harker, because he's like, I need this guy alive. Do I? Do I really? Maybe I do. I'll think about it later. Not now. Just don't kill him now. Like he's trying to convince himself, don't kill him now.
Yeah. Remind me, who was it that bit Harker? Was it Dracula or was it the female vampire?
The wife.
The wife. That's what I thought.
Yeah, she's the one that leans in, gets to him, and then that's when Harker pushes her away, and then Dracula comes in, standing in the doorframe, occupying all of it, and then that quick close-up to his face. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is how you reveal a goddamn vampire, a beast, a demon on the earth.
Yep. Hey, I don't know what else to talk about with the good, because like I can lump some things in with like I do know what else to talk about, but I'm just wondering if you wanted to do the reveal of like what I thought was the greatest moment of the movie.
I'll just blast through my other points, and I think what we're talking about is going to be at my last point.
Okay.
Okay, so when Harker finds Dracula and his lady sleeping, first of all, like his realization that like he's been bitten, that it wasn't just a bad dream, he has been bitten, and the look of pain on his face when he realizes that he's failed.
Yeah.
And darkness is now tainting him and consuming him. Like even that, and the music accompanying it, it is pain and tragedy excellently conveyed. Like he realizes, like, I only have like a couple of hours left of myself before I'm just another bloodthirsty beast like him.
Yep.
And when he finds Dracula and his lady sleeping, and he makes the mistake of killing the woman first, just I guess out of revenge. Like, you know, I'm gonna die because of you, you damn bitch. So, like, there's more to talk about in this scene in another section, but I just have to say the best part about this scene was the fact that, you know, Dracula wakes up hearing his wife screaming after being staked by Harker, and he's just like waiting for the sun to come down, just waiting, and as we see the sun come down, that smile on his face when he's like, finally I can move. Oh, you're fucking mine.
Oh, he's just like, the look on his face is just, game on now, motherfucker.
And what gets this mentioned here is that instead of just like leaping up behind Harker and like tossing him around or biting him or ripping his head off, he actually sneaks out of the room, waits for him to turn around, and then comes down the stairs again to make his fucking entrance.
Yeah.
just to fuck with him.
He loves he loves walking down those stairs.
That is showmanship. That he actually left the room to make an entrance. That just always strikes me. It's like, I just lost my wife, but I'm still not gonna waste this amazing opportunity to really fuck with you.
Would have been amazing if, like, you know, Harker actually sees him like run up the stairs first and then turn around and walk down the stairs. And another example of like dry humor was when
the little girl Tanya is asking the doctor, do you know what's wrong with Aunt Lucy? Yes, I do. Then why don't you make her better? Like, it's just like, cute kids saying the darndest things.
Mm-hmm.
And another bit of great filmmaking was the jump scare when Dracula enters Mina's home while Homewood and Helsing are out, and he forces her onto the bed just with the power of his stare alone. And he leans in. And just when the teeth come out, then fucking a screech owl shows up, and it just makes you just shit yourself. Like, I'm pretty sure I lost about 5 or 6 heartbeats thanks to that fucking owl.
Yeah, the first time, I remember the first time I watched this movie, which was quite a while ago, and that caught me off guard too. That owl just pops out of nowhere, and he just cut to this fucking wide-eyed screeching owl.
And again, like, the gate getting rammed twice, because, that's just hilarious. Like, you can just imagine, like, that must have hurt those fucking horses. But when you got Dracula behind you, I can imagine those horses will be like, you know what? I'll take a broken rib.
Yeah, well, it was 1958. No one gave a fuck about animals in movies in the 50s.
And my final good, which I think maybe yours, correct me if I'm wrong, the last 4 minutes of the movie.
Fuck yeah.
With the chase, the battle, and the death scene is just the most perfect 5 minutes of action, suspense, and gore.
Yeah, because first, it's action-packed. Because just the chase scene alone is like done like it's done like, even though it's, it predates these things, it feels like a 1980s car chase scene where they're just like flying these carriages like you wouldn't believe. I don't know how these things hold together. And then, like, the actual fight with Van Helsing and Dracula.
Again, featuring another great chokeout.
Yep. Oh, man, like, Van Helsing's getting slammed around. He's getting choked out. But, like, somehow finally manages to get the upper hand of Dracula.
Well, I always thought that he faked out on purpose. Like, he just pretended to be, like, choked out so Dracula would lean in, and that's when he'd get some leverage to throw him off of him.
Yeah,
because he can't take him in a straight fight.
No, he kind of just caught him off guard, right? Like, I think he, like, actually... Yeah, you're right. Like, he faked them out.
One thing I thought would have been great is if he deuced him in the eyes, Three Stooges style. Like, just when Dracula just thinks, okay, he's knocked out, then all of a sudden the fingers go right in the eyes, and he's like... Or he just pulls out a violin and starts playing Pop Goes the Weasel so we can punch him around a bit. But yeah, let's just continue taking this. Now that I've ruined the seriousness, let's continue talking about this great scene after Helsing manages to break free of the monster, and then Dracula gives him this look on his face like he just realized, I'm a fucking vampire. I don't run from you.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, I am a 6'5" demon-possessed murder machine, and you're just some little British doctor. Why the fuck am I running from you?
Yeah.
It's like he just realized, I can take this guy. And just when Helsing realizes, oh shit, he can take me. The way it turned, the way that dynamic turned, the cat and mouse dynamic, Dracula's running and running and running, and then when he stops running, he's like, yeah, you caught me. Now what are you going to do, asshole?
No,
What are you going to do now that you have me?
Yeah, you know what happens when you corner an angry animal. So.
Oh yeah.
And so Van Helsing actually gets the upper hand, knocks Dracula around a little bit, and just take us out. You'll do it poetic justice with your description. So the pinnacle of this movie, like, this is where we're at the climax.
Oh, Dracula starts. He's got him in his sights, and he's just like Dracula himself is almost in a trance. Like, I'm in front of prey. Like, he's no longer thinking about like any sense of danger to himself. He is full on predator. He is no longer prey. And Helsing realizes, like, I gotta think like the next 10 seconds is gonna save my fucking life. So he sees the drapes, and a little bit of light is coming up from the drapes, and he realizes, oh yeah, I've beat the clock. and he jumps on the table, and even Dracula's stunned, like, where the hell's he going? And then only in the last second does Dracula realize, oh fuck, he's going for the drapes, and he rips them off the fucking window, and
he actually, like, if Peter Cushing actually, like, leaps for the drapes.
oh man, Peter Cushing, like, you talk about Christopher Lee being a dynamic, athletic man. Like, for this guy, he already looks like an old man. You expect, like, a little bit of class and debonair, but that's it. But no, earlier in the movie, when he hears Mina scream, he takes an entire flight of stairs in a leap. He leaps to the side, he leaps onto some stairs from the side, and basically makes it up to the upper landing in a jump. Mm-hmm. Like, Peter Cushing, at this point, he must have been a fucking athlete.
Well,
he's doing his own stunts.
Yeah, and Peter Cushing is strange because you can see Peter Cushing from, like, his earliest films up to his last films, and he kind of looks the same in all of them. To me, Peter Cushing always looked like an old man. But, man, let me tell you, that old man could run across a table and leap through the air.
Oh, man. And the way, like, and it's clearly him. It's not a stuntman. No, you get to see his face as he jumps on a table and then leaps off and grabs some drapes and falls to the floor holding those drapes.
Yep, you don't need no fucking stuntman.
No, where we're going, we don't need stuntman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, we're actors. Being in front of the camera is our job.
Yeah.
So, the sunlight breaks into the windows, which you really think Dracula would have these things painted over, but nope. And the sunlight bursts him and immediately disintegrates his leg, crippling him.
Yeah, his leg, you actually see his, like, foot just turn to dust.
Oh, but it's like, first there's like, and like at first you see like it's caving in. And then he tries to move out of the sunlight, and that's when Helsing realizes, I gotta corner this guy. He'll crawl away. So he takes candlesticks and makes the sign of the cross with the candlesticks, and I'm even doing it with my hands right now because I'm so excited. And he is making the sign of the cross, and Dracula's like, oh shit, the cross. And like if you go by Fright Night rules, like a crucifix only works because of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And like Helsing's faith is so strong that even something that's clearly not a crucifix, just like two bars held together, is enough to evoke the spirit of Christ and fuck this vampire up. So it's so strong, it pushes Dracula back, and his hand goes into the light, it caves in again, makes him fall, and with his remaining hand, he peels his own face away with like you can just see like his skin bubbling. And he peels it away, and then as even Helsing is just like, oh fuck, this guy's getting a rough day. And then when it comes back to it, everything is gray, like his eyes are like marbles or something. And his skin's completely gray, and his jaw's coming off, and everything is just collapsing, and it's so amazing for the 50s.
He melts a little bit and then just turns to ash. It's
seeing his clothes cave in and the look of pain on his face as he's just basically like a torso falling backwards into the light.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, like, even before I saw the movie, just something I saw when I was a little kid, just showing some, like, I don't even know how I saw it. It was just something that someone did, like, on TV. I was watching something, and there was this little montage of horror clips, and this was one of the clips he showed was the hand scene when you see his hand, like, just crumble into dust.
Oh, for the longest that we've known, it was only just that gray scene. But thanks to a restoration that was done in 2007, they found a Japanese release which had an extra bit of gore.
Yeah.
Like the goriest scene where he's actually peeling like the skin off of his face before it turns to a gray bony hand that's being shaken off frame. So like that's a bonus for the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Just a little extra Dracula disintegration action for you.
Yeah, I remember seeing that scene, like just that one part when his hand hits the sunlight and just crumbles into dust, and I'm like, that looked fucking amazing.
Oh, when his hand turned, we didn't even mention his hand like turns to fucking sausages, and then to dust.
Yeah, like that always stuck with me. I'm like, I don't even know what movie this is, but it's a vampire movie, I know, but like that one scene, that's all I saw. And I'm like, that is crazy. I need to know what this is. And it was years later before I found out that, like, this is Horror of Dracula, so I gotta see this. So just...
and then everything, like, he just collapses into dust. And even Harker's just got this, Helsing's got this look on his face like, I can't believe I fucking survived. Mm-hmm. And then we're finally captured again with a beautiful musical lead out. And we get to see a pile of dust on the floor. And then, I guess his pubic hair being blown away or something. It's obviously from his head, but
yeah, it's just like this.
That's what my dad told me when I first saw this movie with him when I was a kid, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's just a clump of hair just blows by.
It's a smirking.
It's like a little tumbleweed it just rolls through.
And then the pile of dust in the shape of his hand with his ring on the floor is blown away by the wind, leaving just the ring on the floor on the sign of Aquarius in the zodiac wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just all the way around. Like there's just this whole movie was just like could be on the good list. Like my bad list is very short.
Me too. I've only got 2 points.
And really, like I've got 2 points, and really this gets into just not necessarily bad for everybody. It's just my own personal thing, and probably something that maybe like if I was in charge I would have done, or maybe I couldn't have even done it differently. But if we're done for the good, we can move on to that one.
Yeah, I'm spent.
Yeah, like this. There's not enough time to go through every single thing that we liked about this movie. It's just fantastic, just so well done. But we do need to talk about the bad. I'm going to start off with the bad, and it is something that is in that very final scene, the final fight scene before Dracula's demise, is when Van Helsing just grabs the candlesticks and makes the sign of the cross, and that works as an actual cross. This is not the first, or maybe it's the first vampire movie this is done, but it certainly wasn't the last. It shows up in a lot of vampire movies where people just grab any two objects and make the shape of a cross. I've even seen movies where people just make the shape of a cross with their fingers, and it repels vampire. I'm like, okay, like, I understand the whole vampire like mythology with like, you know, the sign of the crucifix repelling them, but it's like, come on, at least I think it actually has to be like a real crucifix in order to work. You just can't grab two random objects and cross them together, and a vampire can't even look at it.
It gets fucking... Oh, Christopher Lee, he does this even fucking better. In The Brides of Dracula, when he's facing the vampire, and he gets him caught in the moonlight by making a cross with a fucking windmill.
Yeah.
He gets on the windmill, gets this guy, like, straight up in the moonlight, getting caught in the cross shadow. And that's enough to snuff out this guy.
So, like, what? If Dracula, like, just walked somewhere and, like, walked near a window that had, like, a cross frame, he'd all of a sudden, like, just repel in horror? Because... like,
I think it's more Van Helsing as a wizard.
I think so,
it's just
too.
Never
it's
been
Van
explored.
Helsing that did it, not the actual cross.
Yeah.
So, like,
he's not
what?
He's not a priest. He's just a Christ
wizard. So Dracula
wizard.
can't write the letter T?
It has to be like a super fancy capital T, so that there's nothing protruding from the top, making it anything cross-like. His T's are very capital.
Right. Oh my God! So it's just like I always like anytime. It's not just this movie in particular. I'm just talking about the whole thing, the whole movie trope of like the cross affecting a vampire. I'm like. I think it actually has to be a real crucifix. It can't just be like some random shapes, like, you know, some random thing. People just picked up anything. Like, you could, pick up like two hot dogs and cross them together, and like a vampire can't look at it.
The power of meat compels you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're a vampire? Okay, I'll just cross my arms in front of you and walk away. You can't touch me. I'm making the sign of a crucifix. So, yeah, like that, I had to put that on the list because that's not, like I said, not just for this movie, that's vampire movies in general. Like, stop doing that.
It is a bit of a cop-out.
Yeah. I like the way that he explained it though. I like the way that he explained it in Fright Night. It's like the vampire actually says to the guy that picks up two stake posts and crosses them together, and he's like, it's not like, just the simple fact that you make the shape of a cross. It's how strongly you believe in it.
Yeah. Like, I'm a creature of the devil. Like, you need to actually have faith in a higher power.
Yes.
To oppose me.
It's like the faith in the higher power that's actually repelling the vampire, not just because you made the shape of a cross.
I wonder if anybody ever repelled a vampire with, like, a Star of David.
Hey, it should work, right?
I mean, Judaism is a faith.
Could you just pull out like a little statue of Buddha and hold in front of him and make the vampire walk away?
I would love to see some guy repel a vampire with a flying spaghetti monster shirt.
Yes, there you go. What movie was it where somebody pulls out a crucifix at a vampire and holds it up, and the vampire stops and looks at him and just smiles and goes, "Actually, I'm an atheist," and then starts coming after him again?
I was expecting him to be like, "I'm Jewish."
And I was like, hey, that's a good point. What about the person, when they were alive, didn't believe in anything? What if I became a vampire and I have no, supernatural beliefs? So, I know that sounds weird. It's like, I have no supernatural beliefs, but I'm a vampire, so. Somebody said, I'd say that to somebody, and they'd be like, well, doesn't that mean you don't believe in yourself? And I just turn to dust.
There was this great, I think it was a Far Side comic where a vampire is approaching a guy and he goes by a moonlit window and the guy just says, "The moon is just reflecting the sun's light." And then the vampire turns to dust.
I sent you that, asshole.
Oh. Oh, right. Okay.
Science versus vampires, yeah. Actually, the moon.
Hey, maybe that's where the cross worked.
Maybe it just reflected the sunlight that was coming in. Who knows? We don't know.
Okay, so my first bad is that Harker is woefully lacking given what he knows going in. He knows he's in a vampire's castle, so maybe this pale woman with no wounds who claims to be getting tortured on the reg should probably get a holy water or a crucifix test before I let her get in hug range.
Yeah. Yes, you're supposed to be a vampire hunter. Have something on you, be a little cautious of your surroundings, carry a small mirror that say, oh, don't worry, I'm going to help you, but first, can you look at this?
Or better yet, here, have some wine and then roofie it with some holy water.
There you go. That's all that happened. That's all you need to do. I had my notes here. You are the dumbest motherfucking vampire hunter ever.
Yeah, the key to being a vampire hunter, number one, detect vampires.
I don't believe in vampires, and I'm already more prepared to be a vampire hunter than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your next bad?
Well, this is going to... there's some debate about this one, but... Okay. Let's talk about what I'm going to say is the most famous vampire movie ever, and of course that is the Universal Dracula. As much as we love this one, we can't argue that the Bela Lugosi Dracula is the most popular one.
Mm.
No matter how much better we like this one, we have to admit that. When it comes to popularity, that's the one that people know.
Well, we'll have to check the Rotten Tomatoes score to see if that's true.
Well, even if the scores are not, if the scores don't show that, it's I'm going to say just popularity, because when someone says Dracula, they immediately think of the Bela Lugosi Dracula.
If they're fucking casuals.
And so I'm just talking about popularity, what's most well known. And one of the things about it, and I'll just chalk it up that it was just, limitations of the time. The Bela Lugosi Dracula, the Universal Studios Dracula, it strays a lot from the source material. It is a very abridged version of Bram Stoker's novel. And like I said, they're limited to what they could do. Of course, you can't produce what was in that novel because it goes into extreme detail. There's things that just could not be done on screen at the time. So, fast forward, 20-something years later. And they're doing... the horror of Dracula. They Obviously, like filming technology has improved a lot. They can do a lot more on screen. Since the Universal Dracula, strayed from the source material a lot, you think this would be an opportunity to have something closer to the novel. They could be a little more strict. Nope, we're going to stray even further from the novel. Fuck you, we're even going to change characters around. Because it's like, they took it, well, first of all, they killed off Jonathan Harker, which was arguably the main character other than Dracula and Van Helsing in the novel. It's like, yeah, you're going to die in the first 20 minutes, don't worry about it. And same thing with Mina. We're going to kill off Mina. They actually swapped. Jonathan and Mina got swapped for Lucy and... What was he? Oh my god, why can't I think of his name? Michael Gough's character.
Oh, Arthur Homewood?
Arthur, yeah. They actually swapped those characters out. And, well, not swapped them out, but, the instead of... Jonathan and Mina being at the end, surviving to the end, they had Arthur and Lucy survive to the end.
No, Lucy was the one that got killed.
Really? Okay, so Arthur was with Mina.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, they swapped out...
Mina got bit, but they saved her by killing Dracula.
So that was the same. Mina's character was the same story, but they swapped out Jonathan and Arthur's character. So that was a big difference. There's no Renfield character. I mean, that's a staple of Dracula, and they're like, nah, we don't need him. I'm like, you could have put him in there. Dracula's like half, starts off like it was Renfield in Dracula that takes place of Jonathan Harker that shows up, is the first person to show up in Dracula's castle and get changed into a vampire. Not even a full vampire, he's a Dampier. Kind of like in Fright Night. Where he has a thrall?
Oh, Billy Cole.
Yeah.
The thrall.
So it's kind of like that's like Renfield's character in Dracula. He was in the novel. He's a big part of the novel.
I thought he was just brainwashed to eat bugs. Like he didn't get any vampire powers, did he?
Somewhat. He wasn't fully changed, but he was he did drink some of Dracula's blood.
Huh.
So he wasn't fully changed like the way they do, they need to drain you to an inch of your life, like you're almost about ready to die, and then you drink the blood. But anyway, it's a whole thing, but he's not fully a vampire.
What did you think of Dan Curtis's Dracula, the one with Jack Palance?
Ooh, was that the 1970s one?
Yeah, it's the one where he jumps through a fucking window and leaves as a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked. I'm not as familiar with that one, but I did see it and I did enjoy it.
Okay, because he does. Because I believe the original Dracula mentioned the boat leaving from Transylvania going to England.
Yep.
And that's what this movie had, was the boat where we get to see the scene where Dracula basically takes out the entire crew. And the fact that his crowning moment of achievement is on a ship, and then his final scene is on a ship. When he gets raked with that fucking petard and hoisted up into the sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. But that's another thing too. This Dracula, this version of Dracula didn't have him change into anything, no transforming into a bat or a wolf or anything. And that was something that was left out. So it's straight from the source material. I just thought that as much as I love this movie, it would have been nice to have a few more things like the things associated with Dracula added to this. And I think they could have, based on what we saw, I think they could have done it easily enough.
Oh no, I fucked up. That was Frank Langella's vampire. That's the one that got pulled up by the ship hook. The Jack Palance one, which we talked about, was the one where he got killed with a spear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's so many, man. This movie Dracula's been done so much. But yeah, it's...
Go on.
No, it's just that's the only thing. This is a minor complaint, and some people that I've mentioned this before when I've talked about this, and some people said no, I'm glad that they did their own thing and even just take some basic ideas from the novel. I'm like, no, I'm not arguing. Like, I love this. Like I said, definitely for me, this is the definitive Dracula. It's the one that I like the most. But I think they missed an opportunity to use some more things from the source material. That would have been great to see, because look at how well they did this. So that's all I have to say. Like, that's my only bad things.
Yeah, and my last bad was I would have loved to see just Harker and Helsing interact just together. Like, they're supposed to be good friends out on a mission. Like, they should have had a scene where they spoke to each other when he finds them. Like, Harker trying to convince his friend he's fine. But, we know that Helsing has already read the journal.
Yeah.
He knows what's up. And either have a fight with him just so that we can, like, see something happen between these two, or have him, like, reason with him, like, appeal to their friendship while he's still got, like, some element of humanity left to either, like, convince him to walk into the sun or let him stake him. Like, I have to point this as a bad. Like, I just wish we could have had just, like, a 2 or 3 minutes on screen to have some closure for their friendship.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's that would have been all right.
I mean, it wouldn't have impacted the runtime.
Nope.
Just have him be like, oh shit, you're alive, and he goes, yeah, I'm alive, and then Harker's like leading him on because he knows what's up. Or just have him be like, so, well, I failed. Here I am.
Well, I guess I'm a vampire now.
I guess I fucked up.
Yeah, so that was it for me. Like I said, like, these two things, like, one was very general, one was just something personally that I like to see, but, like, these are very minor things. Even with those things I thought, in my own opinion, could be improved on, this is still fantastic.
Do you have any what the fucks?
I do not.
I got 2, and I'll make them quick. Harker, again, his thought process, which I just have to ask what the fuck, is he goes in, he finds them, and he goes, I'm going to kill the weaker lady in a very loud and gruesome manner as the sun is setting, and I'm going to save the 6'5" muscle-bound demon lord who is in the same room and can hear all this for later. How can this backfire?
Yeah, exactly.
And when Van Helsing speaks with Lucy, and she goes, oh, Jonathan's dead, isn't he? And Lucy asks, how does she know Jonathan was dead? And Helsing gives her the fucking biggest blow-off. Oh, premonition. It's not uncommon. Bitch, you're a motherfucking doctor. And you're telling people that clearly this guy knows that Dracula told her. But just to mansplain it to Nina,
yeah,
like that, like, he might as well have just said female things. And then I got this is 2 quick questions. Why is the crucifix, which is a symbol of everlasting life after death, repellent to a person who overcame death to achieve everlasting life? You think he'd look at Jesus and go, hey, that's the first one of us.
There you go. Hey, maybe we hear a lot of comparisons that, Jesus was the original zombie, but maybe he was the original vampire.
I mean, he did pass his blood around. Come on.
Ooh, man, now you're onto something. That's a movie I want to see. Jesus Christ, Vampire.
And it turns out, because he didn't hang out with women, instead of like the brides of Dracula, it's like the grooms of Jesus.
Yeah.
Where he just turns all the disciples, and Judas is like the one hero who has to try to destroy them all to save Bethlehem. Oh my God, how is that for a story? Judas is the hero of the story.
That's why he wanted the silver.
Exactly. He wanted to melt it down to get a shield or a neck guard or a spear. Oh, we've got a fucking movie here.
Yep, write that down. Next year's Oscar nominee is
Blasphemy.
That's what we'll name it. Blasphemy. We'll name it Fuck You, Christianity.
And I'm all out of the. I'm done.
All right. Yeah, so all in all, like, fucking fantastic. Like, not enough good things to say about this movie. Like, this is just watch it. Like, to me, I said it earlier, this is to me, this is how Dracula should be done.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. This is the definitive vampire, the definitive vampire hunter. Atmosphere, setting, music, a proper amount of gore that doesn't rely on it, but just perfectly accentuates a scene.
Mm-hmm. Without,
and used so sparingly.
Yeah, it doesn't go overboard, just does it when it's supposed to be done.
And he even manages to get some off-screen kills, which are still impressive when they're found.
Oh, you mean the coachman?
Yeah. Like, this poor bastard is just draped on the road.
Yeah, like that came out of nowhere, and I wondered about that. Like, so I just thought that the coachman was being forced, but like, did Dracula just kill the coachman and take the coach himself?
Yeah, he's not like yeah, that's, well, funny you should ask, because the coachman isn't found, like where the station would be. So he obviously wasn't killed, and then his coach was stolen. It's like, it's obviously at some point he outlived his usefulness somewhere along the road. And, when you talk about this perfect runtime, it would have dragged on a little bit longer if they had kept a certain scene in. And this is the scene that explains what happened to the coachman. And, I can see why they cut it out, but we're not on this week's It Came from the Cutting Room Floor. Coachman!
Blimey, what happened to your lady friend there, Gov?
She just needs to get home. Get us home now.
Sure thing, mate. Load her up. Yeah! So, where are we headed?
We're going to Klausenberg. She needs her medicine before sunrise.
Gonna be just an hour, even riding hard. So, lovely night, ain't it?
Indeed. I sincerely wish it could last forever.
So, when you moved to Klausenberg?
I'm from there.
Bloody hell, you could have fooled me with that accent.
I'm surprised you think so, being an Englishman yourself.
Englishman? You flipped your lid. I'm as German as they come.
Yeah, funny how that works. So, can you hurry it up a bit more?
Klausenberg, was it?
Yes.
Funny thing about that town, it was a Roman settlement in 106 AD called Napoca.
Napoca, and I'm aware.
Yeah, I got lots of time to read in these long roads. Not much company though, so I like to share when I can.
I need to focus. Can you just get us...
No one really knows when the Hungarians took over, but Charles I, fine Hungarian name Charles, amalgamated the whole lot.
I need to attend to my lady.
Granted city status as a reward to the Saxons for squashing the Transylvanian rebellion.
Really, just focus on the horses.
Well, I can't go too fast, I'll wear them out. Plus, a toll booth coming up.
Very well.
Which gives us time to talk about the plague and fires of the 17th century. Oh, I skipped over how it got the name. So, Napoca was actually lost in time, and it just got the name Cluj, deriving from the Latin clausa, meaning strait, or ravine.
And the name Klausenberg was the transliteration of Klaus being mountain pass when it was annexed by the Saxons in 1348.
Right-o you is! Where'd you read that?
I was there.
Ha! Good one. You'd have to be a bloomin' vampire to been there.
Indeed.
Oh, here comes the toll booth, round the bend. This guy's got stories, I tell ya. He can...
No more stories.
Oh, we're just getting started, so...
Oh, now some peace and quiet. Oh shit, I am not stopping for this toll booth. Yeah!
Oh! Hey!
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I can see why they cut that out. I mean, we praised the movie's pacing. That would have brought it to like a dead stop. I would have killed that guy too. Man, he sounded fucking annoying.
Oh yeah, nobody likes to know it all.
Yeah, really.
I mean, who wants to hear some goof just spout on facts and trivia for like an hour?
Yeah. Not me. I would have smacked that guy.
Yeah.
Wow. So I have no idea. Sometimes I've got this all figured out, but this time I'm very curious about what you're going to be bringing to us next.
Oh man, I've got a buffet before me with the kill of the week. And I am honestly torn between Lucy getting the steak, showing how the curse gets lifted and she's given peace through true death instead of the state of undeath that she's been in. And but I'm caught in a toss-up between Harker, who gets double-backed by Dracula after being a victim of his own hubris and incompetence by becoming a vampire, which was an unforgivable fuck-up in my eyes, and then obviously not saving the weaker one for last by nailing her, the bride. And I mean literally nailing, not like fucking her. and then Dracula again he left the room just to make an entrance. It's not like there were two adjoining rooms and Dracula overheard it and left and came in. He left the room. He vacated, waited for the sound of him to turn around, because like he knew that like even the shadow of him walking along is part of the entrance. So somehow he had to listen to him to hear his feet shuffle. And he's like, okay, he's turned around and now I can start walking down the stairs. I mean, just the silliness of it. It looks great. I mean, I'm not going to falter for that. But just like the idea that Dracula is in this frame of mind, like he's just like, I'm going to fuck with this guy so good. I mean, that is damn near perfect, but I can't give it to anything but Dracula himself. His destruction at the end, when Harker uses the power of candlesticks to push him into the sunlight, and when we heard earlier that sunlight is fatal to vampires, oh boy, do we get to see how. It is quick, it is gruesome, it is violent. Like Helsing almost has a bit of sympathy for Dracula after seeing the state he's in. But knowing what has to be done, his faith is resolute. And he just stays there and makes sure the job gets done. And everything, the musical score during the destruction, and then that nice downshift into a calm lull to let you know, like, it's over now, peace at last. And then that sting when it zooms in on his ring, just to let you know, like, but he could come back.
Yeah. And he sure does.
And in the sequel, they use that ring. They use that ring and some blood and some of his ashes to resurrect him. So that ring follows up in the sequel. So, and it looks like they had it in mind the way they zoomed in on it. So this was just it's the kill.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't know if you were going to go right straight for, like, you know, the final kill, which is fantastic, or one of, like, maybe the first kill, but either one would have been perfect, because all great. And they're all just so memorable and just look so good on screen, so, yeah, great job. Well, that is it for us. If you haven't seen this movie, if you're not familiar with the horrors of Dracula, then fucking check it out, because this is horror gold right there. I just love
it. We're giving this movie 2 skulls up.
Oh, definitely. I just love Hammer's take on everything. These classic monsters are just fantastic. Check out all the Hammer series because
Frankenstein, the Mummy. Come on.
yeah, Hammer horror is just like has all of my all-time favorites. So you need to see these movies. What did you think of this movie? If you've seen it, what's your favorite Dracula? If it's not Christopher Lee Dracula, or if it is Dracula, whatever the case is, let us know. We want to hear from you. First of all, you can email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. And you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod and also Instagram. Check us out there, instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod.
And later in the week, you'll be seeing my thoughts on certain parts of this movie in my thoughts and screenshots, which you'll find on our Instagram and Facebook page.
Certainly. And
and if you're going to tell us about your favorite vampires, don't come at us with that fucking golden vampire shit.
What, you don't like hopping vampires? Come on. They're crazy. They're like cross between like Dracula and bunny rabbits. It's awesome. And if you're feeling particularly generous and you want to help us out with some of the show's production costs, you can go to PayPal. No, not PayPal. What the fuck am I saying? Patreon.com/graveyard. I just had an email from PayPal. That's why PayPal's on my mind. You can go to w.patreon.com/graveyard. For a donation of as little as $1 a month, you can help us out greatly with some of the production costs. But you also get the instant gratification of getting access to some Patreon-exclusive bonus episodes. Every month we put a new bonus episode up there just for our Patreon donors. Check those out. We do them a little different than what we do for our regular feed. For instance, for April Patreon, we actually, on Friday the 13th, we played Friday the 13th and uploaded that one so you can hear us doing our little banter, talking about the game, some of the Friday the 13th movies, explaining what's happening as we're being brutally killed on screen by Jason Voorhees. It was a pretty fun time, actually. I enjoyed doing that. But you can check out...
Or brutally killed by your fellow counselors.
Yes, or being run over by a car full of teenage counselors like I did. Assholes. I know who you are, damn it. Just wait till the next time I'm playing this game you're playing, motherfuckers. Anyway, you can check out those there. That's www.patreon.com/graveyard. And if you don't have the funds to give us some funds, then we completely understand. But you can still help us out a ton by going on to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, that's what's going to help out the show the most, to be quite honest. Or review us on however you find our show, whether it's Stitcher, Google Play, or you've listened to us by just clicking the link on our Facebook or other social media pages.
We're on Spotify now, aren't we?
We are, yeah. You can check us out on Spotify as well. And if you can't for some reason do that, then just share us on your social media or share us by word of mouth. If you know anyone that think you would be think would be interested in listening to us talk about horror movies, then just let them know. And if you have any movie suggestions for us, yeah, you have several ways to let us know about that as well. So, Mike, other than this very fine worldwide, world famous podcast, what else you got going on?
I also do the Playing with Power podcast, which has 2 shows on it. One is where we read Nintendo Power magazine, first issue to last issue, front to back, or well, at least until I run out of scans. So hopefully we can work on that. Otherwise, it'll just shift to like PlayStation Monthly or something.
Gross.
But and we read the issues. We talk about the artwork, the letters, the player polls. It is just a great read. It's more interesting and exciting than you probably think it sounds like. And we also have a bonus show called The Taste Test, where me and 2 friends we sample tasty NES games for our review, whether we come back for seconds or we send it back. And also I do a science and tech discussion show called Techno Babble, which is on the Geek Fallout Productions Facebook and iTunes. You can check it out there. We talk about technology, science, as discussed by two idiots who don't have any certifications or qualifications in the field. We just talk about the news, and we're a bunch of goofs.
So kind of like what we do here, except about horror movies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, check it out. If Mike is like the podcast king. For Playing with Power, if you're a fan of old Nintendo games, or you had a subscription to Nintendo Power magazine back in the day, check it out. You'll love that. And you just want to hear a couple guys talk about all the latest tech,
or
video games, the latest tech, and check out Technobabble. I just recently got this one because this is one you actually resurrected.
It was my very first podcast.
Yeah.
It's if you want to wonder why the hell am I doing this, that's why. And you can hear all of our, like, it was an amalgamated network with a whole bunch of different shows on it. But we've recently acquired it, the host and I, and we've re-aired the old episodes. So you'll get those first in the feed from the first to the first 17 episodes, and the audio quality is not the best because I was just getting started and I was dealing with someone who had they were doing this for a while, but you really couldn't tell. But we've improved. I've brought my level of professionalism that I have honed to a fine edge on this show to give my show the resurrection it deserved. And we talk about plastic roads and motorized electric vehicles like hover bikes and flying cars in the new episodes. So, it's good to be back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff. You need to check them out. If you can't get enough of Mike, and I mean, who could? Check out those shows. And ask me what other shows I've got going on, Mike.
How many shows? What other shows do you have going on?
None at all. Because I'm dedicated to you guys. You guys listening right now. You're all I think about. You're my goal. You are you're the people that I strive to please. Not like Mike, that's got to like spread his love everywhere. I'm just thinking about you.
I'm just a big old whore.
Well, that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back again next week. And we're going to be covering another horror movie. I think we've got another listener suggestion next week. I don't want to give anything away, but we'll save it for a surprise. But until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I am Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on The Graveyard Shift. Ha 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 ha!